Hey there guys, it's Klay here with another video. Sorry if this was uploaded late, but I mean like, the internet sucked so. Anyways, today I will read chapters 13 to 15 of What If Naruto Was in the MHA verse. If you want to check the author of the story, just search for the link in the video description. I will now begin. Chapter 13. Start. A perfectly clean beach. So Izuku cleaned up this well. Not a scrap of trash left on the beach. Naruto thought as he walked barefoot through the sand. It was only 2 weeks before the UA entrance exams officially happened, and seeing as both his girlfriend and Kirishima were putting their all into studying to pass the written portion of the exams, he didn't really have anyone to hang out with. Naturally, that left him with a little too much free time, and normally he would train, but that actually led him to the curious thought of checking up on his uncle and Izuku. After all, One for All had been passed down already, and he was curious to see how Izuku was handling the power, and if his uncle had helped him make any progress with his new quirk. Clench your asshole and scream, smash. Naruto felt the force of the punch as it split almost half a mile of the ocean, before the force of the punch died off. He stood firm though and continued to walk towards the screaming idiot and his student. Seeing his uncle standing over Izuku, who was curled up into a ball cradling his arm in pain, Naruto gained an amused grin on his face when he noticed the elderly recovery girl was sitting nearby with a bowl of gummies, ready to give Izuku her healing kiss when he needed it. Naruto walked up to her, so that he was standing behind her, and put his hands in his pockets. The boy's body won't last at this rate. She knew the second Naruto got behind her, and he hummed as he watched Izuku stand up, his right arm visibly injured by his own newfound strength. It was red and purple, with it being visibly broken. You should have been the one to inherit One for All. You have trained since you were a wee little lad to handle this power. Your body is capable of handling 100%. Young Izuku's body isn't ready for this. Recovery girl pointed out under her breath. She was playing the guilt card. Everyone who knew about One for All was of the same thought as her. Naruto had been trained from the age of 5, his body being pushed to the absolute brink and beyond, so that he could inherit this power. He had been broken and healed so many times that recovery girl might as well be his grandmother, he had seen her so much. His body was also made to grow larger and become more powerful as well, so One for All would have been an amazing thing to combine with his already incredible physical strength. Sadly, nobody had planned on him not wanting to inherit One for All, and simply wanting to save people using his own natural quirk. I already have a quirk of my own, and I'll become a hero with it. If I were to accept One for All, there would be one less hero in the world. Because now I will become a hero, and Izuku will become a hero. That is 2 heroes. Naruto knew that it was a lame excuse, but he just didn't want the power. His father had rejected One for All and became the number 2 hero using nothing but his teleport quirk, a quirk that wasn't even designed for battle. He had a quirk that was actually good for a fight, so why would he accept a quirk that wasn't his own? It's too late now, Izuku has One for All. It doesn't matter if anyone agrees or not, the only people whose opinions matter are Uncle and Izuku. Yours doesn't matter, and mine doesn't matter. Naruto folded his arms behind his head and started to walk towards the chaos that was unfolding. His uncle was still a shitty teacher, it would seem. Well, you have the smash right at least. Toshinori, in his true form, pointed out as he rubbed his chin and thought. My arm, suck it up baby, it's your fault for using One for All wrong. Naruto interrupted Izuku as the boy started to stand back up, tears of sheer pain in his eyes. If he remembered Naruto from the months ago that they met, it seemed that he was in too much pain to recall him right away. It took him a few moments to register what Naruto had said, while Toshinori seemed surprised that Naruto had showed up. Naruto had yet to take a proactive role in Izuku's training, other than silently watching or modifying the 10-month plan. One for All, I don't know what you mean. This is just a stray. It's okay young man. Naruto here is one of the people aware of One for All, and who I am. I've asked him several times the past few weeks to come and help out, but he's been rather stubborn. Toshinori looked at Naruto with a growing smile on his face. He extended a fist to Naruto, and Naruto bumped his uncle's fist. Izuku looked at Naruto, for all intents and purposes a boy his own age, and nodded in acceptance. It didn't make sense for a random boy to know this mighty secret, but if All Might wasn't going to explain, he wouldn't push. Single quote ... You're not telling him then. Fine. Naruto could see what Toshinori was doing. Izuku was just given a great power. It wouldn't do for the boy to know that Naruto had been the original candidate to gain one for all instead of him. It wouldn't do well for his confidence in himself, and would hinder his progress if he learned that he wasn't intended to get the power he now had. Izuku bowed while cradling his arm. "It's nice to meet you. I would love any help you can offer. Anything to keep me from ending up like this every time I use my quirk." Naruto punched Izuku in the face, sending him flying across the sand. He didn't even hit the ground before Naruto ran after him and kneed him in the gut, knocking him into the air a little, before he slammed both of his fists against the boy's back and smashed him into the sand. He said nothing as he stepped a few steps back and raised a hand up, gesturing for Izuku to come at him. Ooh! Izuku's unbroken arm was on his bruised face as he struggled to regain his breath. He started to stand up, not only confused by the random attack, but trying his best to think about why Naruto had just attacked him. What? Why? Naruto kicked him in the chest, knocking him down into the sand again. Toshinori winced. That had to hurt. Ah! Trial by fire it is. Recovery Girl knew her work was cut out for her today, since it didn't seem like Naruto was playing around. Naruto kicked the almost literal shit out of Izuku when he kicked him in the gut, knocking him onto his back. The difference in their strength and skill was clear when Naruto grabbed Izuku by the shirt, pulled him to his feet, and then punched him in the nose. Naruto stopped beating Izuku moments later. "Naruto. What you're doing? Shut up, All Might. Come on, Izuku, tell me where it hurts. Does your arm hurt from using your quirk wrong, or does your entire body hurt after I beat the shit out of you?" Naruto asked Izuku as he looked down at the boy. He groaned in pain. "My entire body hurts. Can't breathe right." "Well, stand up and fight me. You have a left arm, right? Use one for all and beat me." Naruto told Izuku as he placed his right hand in his pocket. He used his left hand to gesture for him to bring it on. He waited for almost a minute before Izuku could stand up, and he looked at All Might for guidance on what to do. His power could easily kill a person. He didn't want to fight another human being. "Do it. Okay. Here I come then," Izuku shouted as he ran across the sand at Naruto. He wasn't a fast runner, he was a little on the slow side actually. Not to mention he didn't really have a fighting style. His movements were extremely easy for Naruto to read when he pulled back his left arm. SMMMAAASSH. Naruto saw the fist coming for his face, before he punched Izuku's forearm and redirected the punch into the ocean once more. Instantly, Izuku's left arm ended up just like his right arm. Now, All Might is the type to let you try and figure this out. And I bet you've already noticed you can't use one for all at 100% without making yourself useless. What use is a hero who uses his power once, and needs to be saved? Naruto asked as he grabbed Izuku's shirt, and pulled him in close and gave him a nasty headbutt. The boy was knocked onto his back, in a heavy daze from the blow. Not to mention, just because you have amazing strength, doesn't mean a strong villain can't beat your strength. Naruto wanted to see if Izuku was capable of seeing what he was supposed to do. All Might winced when Naruto pulled Izuku to his feet. Naruto's training was hell on Naruto, and whoever was unlucky enough to train with Naruto. How? Stop treating one for all as a super move. You've had the quirk for 2 weeks now, you should be able to control how much strength you use by this point. Honestly, looking at you, you might be able to handle 7% of one for all. Maybe 8%. Naruto forced Izuku to stand back up. Both of his arms were completely useless, but Naruto made the motion to come on again. Izuku looked at his own arms, before he looked at Recovery Girl and Toshinori. She sighed. "I hope you know what you're doing." Toshinori looked at Naruto with some fear. "This wasn't great. Control your strength, or you'll lose your arms. Both your arms are broken. If you use 100% again, you may never be able to use them again. Without your arms, you'll never be a hero, and you'll have to pass on one for all to somebody who can actually use it." Naruto taunted Izuku. Izuku stopped moving. He's standing with his right foot forward, so he's right-handed, but his left hand is out. He's going to divert any punch I make, and I'm not fast enough to attack him faster than his reflexes will anticipate me. If I use one for all in my legs, then I'll be able to cross the distance between us in less than a second, but my legs will break and I won't be able to move. He was able to deflect my 100% punch earlier, so he knows martial arts and doesn't seem to show a fear of getting hit either. Even if he doesn't divert my punch, he hasn't shown his quirk, so I don't know what type of counter he has for me. He could have a quirk that lets him strengthen his body, or maybe something to let attacks pass through him. Either way, unless I increase my speed, I have no chance of hitting him. But my punch will do nothing if I don't increase the strength of my punch. Izuku looked at Naruto and started to do every calculation in his head that he could to try and plot out a way to attack. He needed to increase both speed and power at the same time, but he also needed to use less than 100% of his power, or he would end up rather useless, and unable to become a hero. Unable to become a hero? Izuku froze. He's overthinking. Recovery Girl scowled at Naruto. What was he playing at? The boy's intelligence is his own downfall. He's faced with an opponent who he can't beat without risking everything, that he knows nothing about, and who is willing to destroy his body. It's like the young man is facing a real villain. Toshinori could appreciate what Naruto was trying. He was setting up a situation where Izuku had no choice but to come to a single answer. If Izuku didn't figure out the correct answer, his future as a hero was over. No, if he didn't figure out the answer, then he didn't have a future as a hero anyway. All Might believes in me, but how can I do this? I would need to use one for all on my arms and legs at the same time, but wait. Izuku looked over at Toshinori in his true form. When he used one for all, his entire body became huge and gained a ton of muscle. He was using the quirk over his entire body to constantly increase all of his strength, treating the quirk as part of his own body. For 2 weeks, he had been treating the quirk as an all-or-nothing power to be used with only a single limb. Looking back at Naruto, he saw Naruto blink, before grinning at him. He's got it. Damn, he's a fast learner when he's pushed into a corner. Uncle, you've picked a real winner. Naruto grinned over at his uncle as Izuku's body gained red veins for a brief moment all over it, and sparks flew from his body. He moved several times faster than before. Izuku used as much strength as he could, and it hurt, but he used only as much strength as he could that wouldn't end up with his body being destroyed. He could feel the pain spread across everywhere, but it didn't hurt like it was hurting before. He crossed the distance between them in less than a second, and he threw his punch the second he was in striking distance. Naruto ducked underneath the punch, and spun on his heel as Izuku unconsciously let go of his hold on the power now that his punch missed, and Naruto grabbed the back of his shirt and threw him onto his back. Toshinori entered his muscle form. Well done, my boy Midoriya. You've just taken a massive step in the right direction. Toshinori hopped over to them and leaned over Izuku's prone form. It was at this point that Recovery Girl stood up and started to walk towards them so that she could heal Izuku. Naruto stopped smiling. He actually almost hit me. I hadn't expected him to be able to move that fast his first time. If my body hadn't moved on its own, he would have tagged me. Naruto slapped his cheeks as Recovery Girl gave Izuku a big kiss on the arm. His body started to glow as all of his injuries started to heal themselves. Izuku's stamina training was for this purpose, so he could be healed back to full health without worrying about dying from it. This was too harsh, he could have ended up paralyzed. Recovery Girl turned on Naruto. She let it go because she thought Naruto had a plan. Naruto gave a cocky smirk. Well, good thing Izuku is good under pressure. Well, Izuku, think you understand? Naruto asked Izuku, who sat up and nodded his head. I need to spread one for all evenly over my entire body. I wasn't treating one for all like my quirk. I was treating it like All Might's quirk and using it for finishing moves. How did you know I would figure that out? Izuku saw Naruto stick his pinky in his ear. Didn't know you would. If you had broken your body beyond repair, I would have remanded that All Might make you transfer your quirk to somebody better. Anyway, it isn't All Might's quirk anymore. Now it's a natural part of your body. Now that you've used it in a stressful situation, learn to control the power more naturally, and hold the power in place. Now, All Might. Naruto gave his uncle his most fierce glare. Toshinori winced under the glare, knowing that it wasn't good for him. I know. I'll try and teach him better, and stop relying on you for everything. He spoke as he raised his hands in surrender. Naruto pointed at him angrily. You better. It's fine to let him figure things out, but a teacher doesn't let their students figure out everything on their own. You have to take some damn responsibility and tell him what he is doing wrong, and show him the way to correct himself. Then, maybe I wouldn't have to use these extreme methods to make the lesson stick. Also, what do you want for dinner? Naruto decided that he would ask that while he was lecturing his uncle. It was a serious concern, seeing as he was going to go shopping for ingredients. Recovery Girl and Izuku sweat dropped when they saw All Might himself get treated like a kid by a teenager, and forced to sit on his knees on the beach. It was actually a hilarious sight to see the number one hero get treated this way. Who the hell is this guy to treat All Might this way? Izuku was confused and scared when he saw his hero get yelled at like this. Ramen. You're damn right we're having ramen tonight. See y'all later Izuku, Recovery Girl. I'll give you a helping hand whenever you feel like you need it. You can get my number from this one here. Naruto looked towards Izuku with a grin. Izuku gulped. Should he be scared? Chapter 13. End. Chapter 14. Start. When are you going to tell him Naruto? Naruto grimaced when he was lectured, a lecture that came every time he visited Sorahiko, Gran Torino. The old man, standing well over a foot shorter than Naruto, still made the teenager wince when he beat him over the head with a walking stick. Naruto had visited to pay him a visit, partially because nobody visited Sorahiko in his old age, and partially because Naruto got his hero costume and wanted Sorahiko's opinion on how it fit him. Sorahiko was like a grandfather to him, and getting his hero costume several days before he went to UA was a big thing for him. Naruto grimaced and willingly took the hit. When he sees me in this costume. Naruto gestured to the costume he was wearing. Naruto was wearing a black one-piece bodysuit, a bodysuit that was skin-tight without any sleeves to it, letting his arms be completely free. His hands and forearms were covered by yellow gloves that fit smoothly on his hands. He had a red cap wrapped around his waist, with it being held in place with a sun-shaped buckle, and he had white sandals that were open-toed at the front. Finally, he had a white cap draped over his shoulders, a cape that had the kanji for "protect the heart" going down the back of it. The cape had a clip on the front of it so that it could be easily removed, and on the lower back of the black bodysuit was a portion that would open up to allow his tails to escape the suit, easily hidden by the hip cape. Since Naruto's quirk made him grow larger and change shape, his hero costume needed to be started ahead of time, and made of certain materials that could grow and change shape to fit his body better. His boots changed structure to fit his feet when they took on their fox-human hybrid form, and the gloves had nearly invisible slits to them that would allow his claws to come out. Sadly, whenever he transformed to his two-tailed form or higher, he would need to remove the cape, which was possible with the easy removal clip. When I told you who your grandmother was, I believed you would tell your uncle, since he's now ready to learn the truth as well. He's not ready. After his last fight with All for One, his heart and body both were punished. If he learned that who my grandmother was, then that would destroy him. I can't do that to him. Naruto smiled sadly, but it was still a smile. It hurt him to not be able to talk with Toshinori about this, and he had wanted to talk about it for so long. He reluctantly kept the information secret for years and years, and it was perhaps the biggest reason why he never wanted to accept the One for All quirk. Toshinori smiled to hide his own pain, his fears, and everything that he didn't want the world to see. Few knew this about the man, the side he didn't show others. Fine. Though, the suit looks good on you. It's styled just like my dear friend's suit, but adjusted to fit your gender and quirk. You inherited her smile, and will to protect others. Though sadly, you also inherited her complete lack of talent. Sorahiko spoke as he appreciated Naruto's appearance in his hero costume. Since the material was made to grow, it was naturally also skin-tight and form-fitting, with the gloves and boots being tighter on Naruto and his friend's loose boots and gloves. Not to mention he changed the cape buckle and hip cape buckles to fit his image more. Naruto took the cape off his shoulders and folded it up, putting it away as it put his orange hoodie back on, zipping it up over his costume. Naruto did the same with the hip cape and just slipped pants on over the costume. Finally, Naruto took the gloves off and put them into the suitcase with the rest of the costume pieces removed. Naruto scowled. Talent this, talent that. The way I see it, with hard work and determination, I don't need talent. My uncle is talented, and look at him, he can't teach to save his life. Having no talent just means that when I become a great hero, then people will have somebody to look up to, and aspire to be like. Though I really hate that heroes are. Naruto slapped his cheeks to stop that line of thought. The days were long gone that heroes were just normal people with powers that wanted to do good. Now, heroes were government workers who did hero work for money. Many did it for other reasons, like wanting to help, but being paid to be a hero. Naruto didn't like the fact that he had to become a hero through the government, become a villain in the eyes of society to do hero work. He just wanted to help people, that was all. He wanted people to see him and think, I'm safe now, when they were in danger, not become some public idol that could have his image easily exploited for money or fame. Though the title of hero wasn't what it used to be, and Naruto didn't respect the title itself, he would reluctantly become a government-approved hero on his path to saving people. He wanted to be a real hero, not what people considered a hero nowadays. So, gotten laid yet with that girlfriend or yours? PPFFFFFFT. Naruto violently spat out all of the air he was breathing when that statement interrupted his line of thought. What the hell, Gramps? The actual hell are you asking me? Of course I haven't. Naruto denied harshly, with the brightest of red cheeks. Sorahiko sent him a disappointed look. Seeing the pictures Toshinori has been sending me of you too, she's cute. Do you not have any sex drive? We've got a declining birth rate and increasing death rate. Not having a sex drive as, Sorahiko was stopped when Naruto hit him on the head. Of course I want to have sex with her, but I shouldn't. I don't want to risk her getting pregnant and ruining her future. She wants to be a hero, and in a few months we will have been dating for a year. We haven't been in a relationship long enough. Naruto reasoned with a burning red face. Normally he wouldn't be embarrassed by this, but the subject had been brought up so randomly, he wasn't able to put up his usual mental defenses against weird questions. And other reasons. Condoms exist, you know. Acid. Her quirk is acid, and she doesn't have total control of her quirk. If we did something, I don't think she would be able to control herself. Naruto whispered under his breath, not liking the fact he was being pressured into admitting this. Sorahiko seemed to understand, and winced when he thought on it. Quirks and sex. Since quirks came naturally to most people, it was often accidental when somebody used a quirk during intimate moments without meaning to. It isn't uncommon for somebody to lose control of their quirk and hurt their partner a little, or a lot depending on the quirk. The introduction of quirks had introduced entirely new problems into private society, the part of society that wasn't mentioned in public much. Ow. Ow. You are making the right choice. Sorahiko decided not to question Naruto on this anymore. Acid and penis were not a pleasant combination for anyone involved. Naruto got a text. I was accepted. My boy, Kirishima, alright. Naruto grinned at the thought he would be attending school with his best friend. He even gave a small fist bump to celebrate Kirishima passing the exams for UA. Naruto was about to text back, before he was sent another text, this one being in picture form. It was Mina sending him a selfie of her wearing the UA school uniform, giving him a thumbs up. Going to UA with his best friend and girlfriend was going to be awesome. Chapter 14. End. Chapter 15. Start. All Might bowing his head. It actually wasn't as unusual a sight as one would think if you knew the man personally, seeing as the humble man actually did have a willingness to submit requests to others formally and informally just as frequently as the other. He was a man that was quick to bow his mighty head to others, including the large mouse man in front of him, the principal of UA, the mouse with a quirk Nezu. Nezu was just taking a long drag of his cigarette though, breathing the smoke out of the window, before he looked at All Might with a wide smile. You know, a teacher requesting to have several students in his class is quite the request. Nezu spoke as he looked at the written request in front of him. All Might turned back into his regular form. Izuku Midoriya has succeeded me in taking one for all, so it makes sense for me to be the teacher for Class 1A. And, I have no problem placing Izuku in Class 1A, the class fits him. You see, I already had the 20 students for that classroom planned out, and adding your nephew to that class's roster would mean I would have to remove a student from that class, and place them in 1B to trade places with him. Nezu spoke wistfully. In truth, he could understand Toshinori's reasons for this request. Nezu knew that Toshinori wasn't a great teacher. The prodigy had everything come naturally to him, so he didn't really ever have the struggles in controlling his quirk that were needed to allow him to become a teacher. His fighting style, moves, and control of his own power were all instinctual in that he didn't need to learn them, just gain experience with them. Seeing Izuku learning how to use one for all during the entrance exam allowed Nezu to figure out that somebody else had designed the training for that boy. Somebody that knew what it took to help others reach their potential. The only person who fit that description that knew of one for all was young Naruto. Cheese? Toshinori showed that in a bag he brought with him, he had an entire wheel of cheddar. It's perfectly aged. Toshinori was sure that he was being offensive, but that didn't matter right now. Nezu looked at the cheese with a thoughtful expression, before he nodded his head after smelling the strong aroma. Cheese aside, your request isn't unreasonable. You yourself recommended him for the hero course, along with Ryukyu, Sir Night-Eye, Best Jeanist, and Maruko all recommended him. Endeavor recommended his son, and several rookie and pro heroes recommended Momo Yaoyorozu. These three have the potential to become the next big three of UA. Nezu spoke as he got up and walked over to Toshinori, grabbing the cheddar offered to him, and putting it on the couch for later consumption. He sat down next to it and put his cigarette out in the ashtray. Half cold, half hot, a quirk that allowed for the abilities to create and control both ice and fire using the right and left halves of one's body. The quirk alone in its diverse abilities in both the offense and defense would allow for instant fame and easy recognition, as well as boasting incredibly practical uses for its power. Creation. The quirk that could be literally used to create any non-living material from the body's fat cells, with only the user's imagination being the true limit of the quirk. It had offensive, defensive, support, rescue, and even medical uses for it that would allow the one with the quirk the potential to easily become a drastically popular and skilled hero, able to help all people in all situations. Monster Fox. The quirk that allowed the user to become a giant nine-tailed fox, with the more tails added increasing the size and power of the transformation. Once the user gained control over the quirk's bloodlust completely, it was even rumored that the quirk's latent abilities would be activated, allowing the user to freely control the hidden power within the quirk. The quirk's raw potential for battle was considerable, with its multiple sizes being useful for anything from rescue operations to full-on battle, the massive size being both an offense and great defense. These three students were each recommended by pro heroes for their skills and quirks. The next big three? Toshinori was a little surprised. He hadn't thought about that. Yes, the potential these three have is certainly higher than those around them. I was planning on placing them together in a class, to see how they would grow. For strength to grow, it needs to be tested and sharpened by the strength of others. And while they have quirks that are stronger than most pro-hero quirks, it seems they all have holding them back. Nezu had seen the only tests that those three needed to take. The results showed that each of them were being held back by something. It actually made his smile fade when he thought on that. Half cold, half hot, refusing to use his flames in battle because of a troubled past. Creation, a strong will and keen mind. Didn't understand the hardships of being pushed to the edge, it was unknown if she would hold up when pushed through stress. Monster Fox, a powerful quirk for sure, but the user seemed to fear pushing his quirk to the limits, so instead trained his body beyond what was safe out of fear of his own power. So, he'll be in Class 1A? Toshinori asked with a growing smile on his face. He needs to be. If he runs wild, he needs friends who can help him regain control. The fellow students of Class 1A and their quirks are most well suited for helping him. Nezu wasn't foolish either. Naruto was just as much of a threat with his quirk as his mother had been, though he had the potential to be a greater hero than his father had been. I remember what happened on the day of his birth. The day we lost Thunder God, and his son was left an orphan. Nezu looked at Toshinori, the hero visibly recoiling at the reminder. The day Minato died had been a sad one for him. They had been great friends, students who shared the same mentor for a while, and they had been brothers in all but blood. Minato had never told him who his parents were, not that it mattered to him, but the two of them might as well had been brothers. It was why it was only naturally that he, Toshinori, took in Minato's only surviving child of that day as his own. Also, I'm afraid if he doesn't help me, I won't be a very good teacher. Toshinori admitted with a self-loathing chuckle. He was so bad at teaching, he relied on his 16-year-old nephew to help him, when the child had his own problems to deal with. Though, I'm surprised you aren't seeing him off to school for his first day. Not quite the most dependable of parents, I must say. Nezu spoke jokingly, with Toshinori giving him a short look. Minato is his father, I'm not, and I can't ever replace Minato. It would be an insult to my friend's memory if I took the position of father. I'm Naruto's uncle, and that is what I'll always be for him. Toshinori spoke with cold seriousness there. That was the one thing he had ingrained into Naruto as a child, that he was not his father. It would feel, to him, like an insult to Minato if he stole his child's love for his father from him. Maybe if Minato had the one for all Quirk instead of me, he would still be alive today. Toshinori thought for a brief moment, before he slapped his cheeks and prevented that line of thought from going any further. He shouldn't think on that anymore. Nezu glanced to his side and decided that it would be best if he not show Toshinori what he had planned on showing him. It could wait. With Naruto, Kirishima, killing me. Mina, trapped between them as they bro-hugged after not being able to see each other for a while, managed to choke out as she found herself the unwilling participant of their moment. That said, she smiled as she looked at their faces, before she squeezed her arms out from between her boyfriend and friend, and joined in on the hug as well. None of them had really seen each other in a while now, so she might as well enjoy their reunion on the first day they would all be attending the most popular school in the country. She was completely sure they were doing it on purpose though when they looked down at her. She blinked. Kirishima. Dude, what happened to your hair? Naruto asked as he looked at his friend with some surprise, noticing for the first time that something was seriously different about Kirishima. His straight black hair was now bright red, and he had it spiked like horns. I figured this was a chance to make a new me, so red-haired me is the new me. Thought it looked cool. Kirishima looked away from Naruto and Mina, not wanting to see if they were sending disapproving looks. His parents had sent him similar looks when he came out of his room with a different hair color. They ended up being supportive of his choice, but the looks of shock on their faces were a little hurtful. He glanced at them. No real reaction. I guess it's cool. Yeah, it looks pretty nice I guess. Naruto was corrected by Mina as she nudged him in the side. Also, I don't care what color your hair is, to be honest. Kirishima was Kirishima, red or black hair. Such a small change didn't really mean anything in the long run. Kirishima grinned. So, what class are you two going to be in? I'm in Class A. Mina grinned as they walked across the school grounds. A 2. Kirishima smiled and looked at Naruto. He nodded. Hopefully, we're not in the same class as that bastard's son. He's attending UA this year on recommendation like me. Naruto really hoped that he wasn't put in the same class as Endeavor's son. He wasn't sure if he would be able to hold back his dislike, and he might not be able to stop himself from picking a fight if the guy inherited Endeavor's way of ignoring people he didn't consider worth his time. He better not have jinxed himself. Chapter 15. End. And that is it for this couple of chapters. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for watching this video. See you later and bye.